My 41 male wife, 41 female, kissed another man on a night out. And now she is having a meltdown since I got back in shape, and I don't care if she cheats on me. Sorry if the title doesn't make much sense. I didn't know how to word it. A bit of context. We've been together since we were 18. Never had a great sex life after the first year. Maybe once or twice a year at most since then. But at the meantime, it's going on 3 years, and although it bothers me, I love her and I love our kids, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I know plenty of friends who are in the same situation. Another bit of context is that I've always been mildly overweight, but always fit as I played a lot of sports until about 10 years ago. That's when I got really ill, and a mixture of meds and comfort eating made me balloon up to nearly 300 pounds. Well, 2 years ago I decided to do something about it. I'm now around 200, which at 6'2" is the lightest I've been as an adult. I've actually enjoyed using weights and for the first time in my life have a bit of abs and some muscle. My wife, having always been far harder, is pretty obviously insecure about the fact that for the first time that we've been together, women are starting to look at me and message me on my baking pages on social media. For the record, I've never even looked at another woman in that way. Now on to the night in question. My wife went out with some friends, a mix of single and in a relationship. She looked stunning and I told her so. I even updated my phone home screen to a picture that I took of her. One of the friends she was out with had messaged me about 3 months ago, and the gist was that she knew I got no sex. My wife doesn't realize how lucky she is and is basically asking me if I'd want to hook up. At the time, I obviously took a screenshot and sent it to my wife. So around 4 a.m. my wife gets home, and she wakes me up as she gets into bed. I'm half awake, but can tell something is wrong and ask what is the matter. She doesn't say anything for a few seconds, and as I go to grab her hand, she pulls away. I asked if she wanted me to get her a drink, and she said no. Then she just blurts it out and says I met a guy tonight, and he kissed me. I didn't kiss him back at first, then I did. Then for the next half hour we were dancing and constantly kissing. She kept saying sorry and begging me not to leave her. My honest first reaction was, so what, it's only kissing and dancing. I didn't say that. I just hugged her and tried to calm her down. An hour or so later, once I got the right words in my head, I said, I know you feel really guilty, but please don't. I'm not going to leave you and break up our family over some kissing and dancing, and I don't love you any less than I did yesterday, and this isn't something that's going to grow and cause resentment. More or less right on cue, my phone goes off, and it's that friend of hers with a picture and a video of what my wife was doing. This set my wife off again, but my feelings still haven't changed, and a month later that remains the case. In the month since then, my wife has accused me of not loving her because I didn't care. She's accused me of kissing other people and more, which is why I didn't care, as I was covering up my own indiscretions, and she's accused me of being gay multiple times, which doesn't make sense. She keeps asking me why I haven't initiated anything with her, even though in the past she's told me she hates being touched and not to ever try it on with her, which I have respected. She's basically projecting, and it's annoying me as it's putting a strain on us, which she is 100% causing. How do I get through to her that she needs to stop feeling guilty and just move on, because I have, as it's not a big deal? I was genuinely more annoyed when she broke my baking bowl and tried to blame it on the cat. LOL. Let's move on to the comments to see what they said. Tiny Sheen says, brother, I say this with love, just get a divorce. If it's not this issue, she'll create another one further down the line. And Opie responds, this is the thought that's been creeping into my head. Is she trying to blow up the relationship but make me be the one who leaves? Yep. Hilius says, what in the actual hell? Your wife kisses another guy, and you have no feelings about it? I have to say, the fact that your wife turned it against you is brilliant. So instead of her apologizing profusely, she throws it back to you and say you don't care enough? Wow. Maybe it's my caveman DNA talking, but I would have blown a lid if my wife told me she kissed another guy. I know some people have open relationships, but you never mentioned it, so assuming you don't? Maybe she is right, and maybe you don't care. And the Great Honu says, quote, even though in the past she's told me she hates being touched and not to ever try it on with her, end quote. Did I read that correctly? She doesn't like being touched, but let a man kiss her multiple times, and she reciprocated? They were also dancing, so I doubt there was any daylight between them. I imagine his hands were all over her, and she didn't mind. It sounds like she doesn't like to be touched by you, but is perfectly fine with being touched by someone else. Give her what she wants, go talk to a lawyer, get your ducks in a row, then tell her you've done what she was looking for, a reaction. Then, if you want to fix things, tell her you want to go to marriage counseling to see what her reaction is. Even without the lawyer thing. If you want this marriage to continue, you both need to go and see someone, as it doesn't sound like she is going to move past this anytime soon, and who knows why she is doing what she's doing. Hope is edit. Hi y'all. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for taking the time to respond to me. I really do appreciate it, and I'm overwhelmed you all took the time. I keep getting asked a few questions, so I thought I'd address them here. Over the years, we have been to a few different couples counselors and sex therapists, the latest being last September for both. My wife always feels like they are victimizing her, so we stop going. Nearly all have said, though, that they think she is asexual, and two even say she is displaying a lot of signs of being a closeted lesbian, which I have brought up to her before, and she is adamant she's not. On that note, I've had a lot of messages saying she wants to feel wanted, and for me to be more forward with her. This is not true. In all our sessions, she said she doesn't want me trying it on with her. She doesn't even want me to initiate hugs, and just bringing up sex makes her feel under pressure. She let me and our therapists know that if she ever had sex without her initiating, it would be no more than pity sex. As for people saying I don't love her, I buy her flowers every Friday on the way home from work. I bake her favorite cookies or cupcakes every weekend. I send her voice notes of songs I'm listening to that remind me of her. I tell her I love her every day. I run her a bath every night. This isn't me showing off. This is how I was brought up, to show love to those who said I must have been brought up in an unloving home. People have said that if I don't get jealous, I don't love her. If she told me she was having an emotional affair, she spent hours on the phone with someone else laughing and joking. She's snuggled on a sofa eating chocolate and watching TV with someone, etc. I'd be devastated. A dance and a kiss isn't a big deal to me, and not even close to divorce. Opie's edit number 2. Sorry for these. It's 7 a.m. in the morning here now, the day after I posted this. I've been talking to my wife since 6 and told her she's got a week to agree to go back to couples counseling, and she's got to stick it out this time and not just accuse them of taking sides and refuse to go back. She said no. She said they all bully her and make her out to be the bad guy. She said I went back on my word that I forgive her and won't resent her. I said this isn't about the kiss. It's about her reaction since the kiss, and it feels like she's purposefully trying to drive me away and make me leave her. She just got up and stormed out of the room. She then got dressed and said she was going out until I went to work. All right, let's go to the update. It's been nearly 2 weeks since I made the post, and the short update is that we are getting divorced. I said in the edits that I told her I wanted us to go back to couples counseling and sex therapy. She said no to both, as we had gone before, and she felt bullied. She said at sex therapy that unless she initiates touching, not just sex, any touching like hugs or hand holding, it will be against her will and will be forced or pity affection from her. The sex therapist said it's very unreasonable, and that's why she felt bullied there. I try to ask her a few questions too. Are you a lesbian, or at least bi? Don't be stupid. Are you asexual?
No.
What did he have that I don't? Nothing. I just wanted to do it. Why don't you ever want to do that with me? Don't know. What can I do to make you want to do that to me? Don't know. Do you want me to take the initiative and try it on with you more?
No.
I'll tell you when I want it. Don't guess. So she refused the therapy and gave me no straight answers. She also said I've gone back on my word about not letting the kiss split us up, because now it is. I said it's not the kiss. It's your behavior since then that has caused me to want divorce. She said that if it's my decision to divorce and it's all my fault, no it isn't, then I should be the one to tell our kids, and she will have no part in it. That was hard. I didn't tell them everything. They are too young for that. I just told them that mommy and daddy have decided we shouldn't live together anymore. It's something a lot of grown-ups do, but it's not the kids' fault, and they are still loved and cherished by both of us. As soon as they were told, my wife left for her sister's, and in the 3 days since, I haven't heard anything from her. I've tried speaking to her about the kids as they miss her, but she reads my messages and ignores me. I'm keeping a record of her not answering the phone to me or my eldest son, and also how long it's been. It's for my own sake if she tries to twist it on me and say I left her for no reason, and she did nothing wrong since she left of her own accord and has chosen not to come back. A lot of people asked about the friend and why they still talk after she tried it on with me. As I understand it, my wife tried to get the friend group to cut the friend out, but they all pretty much refused, so my wife just chose to ignore her in group settings. On the night in question, the friend approached my wife and told her if she didn't tell me, she would send me the video. So my wife didn't tell me because she felt guilty, but because she was forced. I've also spoken to a couple of other friends in the group and asked what's been going on that I'm not privy to. Apparently, my wife was sexting her friend's boyfriend a couple of years ago. My wife has also been boasting about how she has me under her thumb, and she gets away with giving me nothing, and I'm too scared to ask. The friend apparently saw me out shopping one day and decided I was now more effable and thought she'd try and exact some revenge on my wife, so she didn't really want me. And just to be clear, regarding that friend group, I wouldn't touch any of them with a barge pole. I was just a pawn in this weird friend group, one of many internal beeps with each other, which I found out about in the last few days. Basically, they all seem to hate each other and mess with each other's partners. I've got that video and all the screenshots of her sexting her friends' boyfriends. Also, there are some screenshots of a WhatsApp group chat where she has been posting pictures for strangers to comment on, but it's blatantly her as she has a tattoo in a place that's unique to her. There are also some other videos and pictures of nights out, which her friend group has sent me. I'll be honest now, and I feel incredibly guilty about it, but when she left, my body and soul seemed to take a massive sigh of relief. It was like a black cloud that was dripping eggshells on the floor for me to avoid constantly is finally gone. I feel terrible feeling this way, but I feel like I'm my 6'2" height now, rather than a browbeaten 3-foot tall who was scared even to say anything for fear of being told I was wrong or insulted or ridiculed. It's like the blinders have been taken off. On Saturday, I bought some stuff to do some baking, and I must normally look like a right weirdo at the shop as I stand there arguing with myself if buying it is worth the arguing and name-calling I'll get when I get home. I put some stuff in my basket, and as I walked away I just stopped and didn't feel right. I just put it in my basket without thinking. Then I thought, this is my life now. I spent the day today baking with my kids, eating Easter eggs and watching cartoons, and I haven't stopped smiling all day. I haven't winced or broken out in a sweat worrying I'm about to be told off about being too noisy or watching the wrong thing on TV or there's a wrapper on the floor, etc. Finally, I'll never take her back. I know a lot of people called me spinless in my last post, but I'm one of those people who once I make a decision I stick to it. Thank you everyone for your support on my last post. I appreciate you all. Story 2. Am I the asshole for punching my wife's best friend after she touched me inappropriately? I've, 35M, been with my beautiful wife, 34F, for close to 10 years. We have no kids as of now. My wife's best friend, Amy, has been friends with my wife for about 15 years, all throughout college where I originally met my wife. Me and Amy haven't ever been the best of friends, however, we've been cordial for the sake of my wife. I've always found her to be obnoxious, loud, and entitled. The kind that inserts herself into any and every conversation, whether that be on a night out with friends or a private conversation. For example, myself and my best friend were talking about fertility issues in his marriage during a dinner with our longtime friends. We were quiet enough so that nobody could hear us over the chatter, yet she found a way to be nosy and make a comment on how she would live herself if she couldn't do the one thing a woman was made to do. This pissed off my best friend, Max, and his wife to the point where they excused themselves and left early to go home. Now on to the actual situation at hand. Amy's boyfriend, Collet, had left her due to her annoying personality. I think it was more of a build-up, but what set him off was when Amy purposely did not feed their dog while he was on a work trip because he was sleeping while she was drunk and calling him to collect her. It's only the tip of the iceberg. Amy has always been weird with me. She has constantly tried to DM me on Instagram, trying to make conversation about gossip in our friend group or completely random things. I have always ignored her. My wife has always seen past her strange behavior. She refused to believe her dearest best friend would have ill intentions. Anyway, after their breakup, Amy came over to our house to see my wife. My wife was feeling ill on this day, so she took pills to help her sleep and fell asleep in a matter of an hour. I could not ask Amy to leave in the state she was in, so for my wife, I suggested she could sleep in the guest bedroom. She agreed and went to bed. I was in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner, and she waltzed into the kitchen with nothing but undergarments on. She acted shocked and claimed she didn't know I was still in the kitchen. I felt extremely uncomfortable and decided to call it a night. However, she started stripping and approaching me, telling me how my wife doesn't have to know, and she's seen the way I've looked at her. I was completely baffled and told her she's gotten the wrong idea, and to be ashamed to do this to her own best friend while I try to scurry out of the kitchen. However, she practically leaped in front of me and touched my privates. Without a second thought, I hit her. I know I could have easily pushed her, but in the moment I panicked and punched her in the face. Her eye was left bruised. She started wailing, enough that my wife woke up and stumbled in the kitchen to see her best friend, naked and bruised. She then went on about how I tried to essay her, and that I'm a disgusting human being and she should divorce me. I snapped back that she approached me, naked, and a rejection wasn't enough for her to back off, so I punched her. Hence the bruise. My wife didn't say anything. Instead, she fainted, and I immediately brought her to the hospital. My wife is now okay, but refuses to talk to me about what happened. On the other hand, Amy has now accused me of attempting to have sex with her in our friend group. The majority of people don't believe her, but there's a few who live by always believe in SA accusation. The other half told me I fucked up by punching her and fueling this anger. Amy has ruined my life. I'm afraid my wife will divorce me, and this goes to court. I've already contemplated suicide many times. I don't know where to go from here. What do I do? Where do I go from here? Any advice is appreciated. Edit. I know this story sounds absurd and I wish it were fake, but it is not. The unnecessary details were brought into point an overall picture of her character. I guess it is worth mentioning my wife feels like she owes her life to Amy for getting her out of an abusive household when they were teenagers. They are practically like sisters. Amy was also not drunk. Edit 2. A few things I would like to clarify to avoid confusion. 1. Amy claims to have gone to the kitchen to get a glass of water not knowing I was still there. She then claims I took advantage of her. 2. This incident happened at approximately 3 a.m. It is now 8 a.m. 3. She came up with this story and posted it in our group chat right after she went back home. 4. Majority of our friend group have to get up early for their responsibilities, hence how this misinformation has spread like wildfire. I have been getting individuals' DMs on advice and opinions since where I've concluded the majority are on my side. Some say I shouldn't have punched her and the rest believe her. 5. My wife has been up all night and refuses to talk to me. I have not tried to push her to talk to me. For now, she needs time to process it. Update: a lot has happened in the past 9 hours. Someone made a suggestion to text call it, and so I did. It was just as distraught as me and admitted that this was in fact not the first time she has screamed essay. Just like some of you had suspected, she has threatened to scream essay to use Khalid to stay in the relationship with her. He got out of it by installing cameras without her knowledge and contacting a lawyer in case she went through with her claims. This worked in my favor. He was very supportive and sympathetic. I confronted Amy with all the fallacies in her story and mentioned the existing evidence Khalid still had if she was interested in taking her claims to the court. She panicked and told me no, apologized, and said she wasn't in her right mind after the breakup. I got her to admit this in the group chat as I am not interested in false rumors spreading about me in case someone was still unsure of the situation. She shortly left the GC and has cut off contact with everyone. In other words, has become unreachable. I explained to my wife what had happened. She had seen all the messages with her confession anyway. My wife told me she genuinely didn't know who to believe and was contemplating divorce in that moment. I was heartbroken. I told her I needed time to process everything that had happened in the past 14 hours. I will be sleeping in the guest bedroom tonight. I am happy she believes me now, but it doesn't sit well with me that it took an actual confession out of Amy for my wife to side with me. I have been with my wife for 10 years and would expect her to know me better than that. But at the same time, she didn't know Amy was capable of something like this in 15 years. My marriage has definitely taken a hit with this situation. Although I love my wife and have seen past every other time she has defended Amy, this situation is something I can't get over overnight. I thank you all for helping me navigate this situation. Edit: I am very aware and understanding of my wife's situation. She feels indebted to Amy, and there's definitely power play at hand. However, my wife has laughed off the incident and dismissed the fact of how traumatizing it was for me. She still refuses to see Amy as the villain and is blaming it on the emotional heartbreak of her breakup. Update 2. So it's been a bit over 2 months since the incident occurred. Needless to say, it's been a hectic 2 months. I tried to make it work. I really did. For 2 months, I tried to brush it off and dealt with wife still having frequent hangouts with Amy and telling me about them all excitedly as if her own best friend didn't just try to have sex with me. However, the last straw was a few days ago where my wife was telling me how her and Amy are planning a trip to Greece for the summer holidays and how she can't wait to finally have a break from life stresses. I simply said nothing and walked away from her. She followed me and asked me if everything was okay, and I straight up told her how I can't believe she would dismiss the fact that Amy accused me of SA when in actual fact she forced herself onto me, and how when it came to Amy, she believed her and was willing to divorce me on the spot, but when it came to me, she brushes it off and continues to have her girly hangouts with the very friend who tried to destroy our marriage. I blatantly told her she doesn't care for me. My wife started bursting into tears and had the audacity to ask me at that again. Why can't you just get over it? I don't know why I thought she would have listened now. I had enough at that point and told her we're getting a divorce. Walked away and started to pack my suitcase as she tried her hardest to stop me. Pulling my shirt, hitting me, throwing things, going from calling me names to begging me to stay. I walked out and am now staying at a hotel while her and her family blow up my phone. I don't know what to do.